You'll never get your foot off the brake and find the success you dream of until you take Noah's advice to heart. T. Harv Eker, author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. The Secret Code of Success. 7 Hidden Steps to More Wealth and Happiness. Noah St. John. Foreword by Jack Canfield. For the Faithful. Foreword, Jack Canfield. He came up to me like anyone else. I had just flown across the country to the University of Massachusetts, where I had earned my master's degree in education. Because they were presenting me with a Lifetime Achievement Award, something I wasn't all that sure about, because I still had a lot of living left to do. When he introduced himself, he did something that thousands of other people have done before and since, said how much he enjoyed my work with Chicken Soup for the Soul. But then he did something unusual, something few people had ever done before, something that got my attention. He produced what looked like a handmade book manuscript and said, "Mr. Canfield, I wonder if you could take a look at this." He then explained that he had discovered something that would change the world of self-help as we know it, because he had discovered why so many smart, creative, talented people who'd spent tens of thousands of dollars on traditional self-help programs are still stuck in going back down the road of life with one foot on the brake. Something about the way he spoke made me pay attention. He wasn't cocky or arrogant. Rather, something about his quiet manner said that he had simply solved a problem that many, many people would like to know the solution to. I glanced at his tape-bound book. It was literally bound with a piece of tape. It wasn't much to look at, but I noticed that he had already garnered impressive testimonials from people who were saying that his work had changed and in some cases saved their lives. Maybe it was pure instinct, but something told me there was something special here. I looked up from his homemade book and said, "Yes, this looks good. I'll send it to my publisher." The look on his face was priceless. To say he was surprised would be like saying the Grand Canyon is a pretty big hole. After Noah's first book came out, he and I continued to stay in touch. As I watched him grow and touch more and more people through his seminars and coaching programs, I felt like a proud papa, seeing my young protege expand his reach and help tens of thousands of people around the world. With the release of his new book, The Secret Code of Success, I feel that Noah is about to take the leap into true greatness. Few times in a generation does someone come along with a way of looking at a question as old as, why do so many people hold themselves back from the success they're capable of, and come up with an answer that is at once so simple and yet so powerful. But even more importantly, the way Noah solves this problem will allow you, no matter how rich or poor, how happy or unhappy, how stuck or successful you already are, to get your foot off the brake and allow yourself to succeed at higher levels in your life, career, and relationships than you've ever experienced before. No matter what area of your life you want to improve, whether you want to make more money, enjoy more time off, have better relationships, improve your productivity, lose weight, or gain self-confidence, Noah will not only help you to achieve your goals, he'll show you how to reach them faster, easier, and with far less effort than you're spending now. It's not often that someone you meet makes such a difference in your life, and moreover, helps you make more of a difference in the lives of others. No matter who you are or how you came to this work, the pages that follow will allow you to enter a new life. That's why it's my great pleasure to introduce to you my colleague and friend, Noah St. John and his work, The Secret Code of Success. In closing, I just have one question for you. What are you waiting for? All my best, Jack Canfield, co-author, Chicken Soup for the Soul, and the Success Principles. The Secret of Success in Life and Business. This is not your father's success book. I was in Los Angeles recently having lunch with some friends who are millionaires and decamillionaires, people worth 1 million to 10 million and up. As I looked around the table, something made me smile. I noticed that none of us looked remarkable in any way. No one was wearing an expensive suit. Some of us looked like we were on our way to a pool party. We weren't discussing anything particularly deep or earth-shattering. I realized that we were really average in every visible way. You would have probably walked right by if you saw any of us on the street. So what did this group of regular people do to enter the top income bracket in the world, while most continue to struggle and just get by? And more importantly, how can you learn their secret code so that you can enjoy this kind of success in your life and business? In the pages that follow, you'll learn what separates the top 3% from the rest of the world, how to get rid of the head trash that's holding you back, a little assumption that's costing you a fortune, the foolproof formula for getting your foot off the brake, tailored specifically to you so you can succeed over and over again at whatever you choose. Who is Noah St. John, and why should I listen to him? You're probably asking yourself that question right now. In fact, as I'll show you later, it's impossible for you to not be asking yourself that question. So let me answer it right now. As founder and CEO of SuccessClinic.com, I lead an international success training company. Over the last 10 years, people and organizations in over 40 countries have used my methods to get better results in their lives and businesses with less time, money, and effort. I'm privileged to have thought leaders in business, sales, productivity, and human potential endorse my programs. But things weren't always this way, not by a long shot. While this is kind of embarrassing to admit, I have a confession to make. When you listen to nearly every other success speaker, you'll hear stories like, he or she was a #1 salesperson in every company they were in. They had a paper route while still in the womb, or they became a millionaire while the rest of us were still playing video games. Well, my story is just the opposite. After skipping 8th grade, graduating second in my class, being a national merit scholar, and attending college on full academic scholarship, you would think I had a great future ahead of me, right? Well, you'd be wrong. After I left college, for the first time, I became the most highly educated underachiever you ever saw. I found myself in a series of dead-end jobs, secretary, waiter, clerk. I sold kites, sold sweaters, not at the same store, of course. I even cleaned toilets as a housekeeper, and each job I hated more than the last. During those long, lean years, 2 questions burned inside of me. How could someone with so much education have achieved so little? And why are people who are dumber than I am so much richer than I am? So I did what anyone would do in that situation. I started studying the phenomenon called success. I bought every book, listened to every CD, and went to every seminar I could. I spent lots of time, money, and energy trying to answer those 2 questions. It took me years and years of hard study, and after all that time, effort, and expense, the question I now had was, how could someone who spent so much time and money studying how to succeed still be so broke? Then one night, quite by accident, I finally discovered the answer that changed my life. Not only did it explain my life, More importantly, my discovery has given tens of thousands of people around the world the answers in their search for success. And I was shocked to see that even though the answer had been right in front of me all along, not one of the success gurus I spent so much time, energy, and money on had ever mentioned it before. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Why am I sharing these secrets? I've already told you that I've personally helped tens of thousands of people from all walks of life to enjoy more wealth and happiness. What I didn't tell you was that it was for a much bigger purpose. I started my company with the vision of what I wanted to create. I wanted to create a system that anyone from any background could learn, do, and teach that would give them the skills and tools to become highly successful doing whatever they wanted to do. And I wanted to create a company that was much larger than just myself, so that we could help the millions of people who, through no fault of their own, are struggling to get ahead and succeed. I have now achieved my vision, but the next phase of growth for my own company is going to force me to scale back tremendously on the number of hours I am able to personally coach and mentor people. My greatest mission now is to train and grow coaches who can duplicate what I've done with my students and empower more people than ever before to have the tools to financial freedom. What this means is, aside from a very select group of business professionals, most people may never get the chance to work with me personally. That's why I decided it was time to get this information out there so everyone could benefit. One more thing. If you're looking for the same old motivational cliches or methods you've heard a million times, you won't find them here. If you're looking for a book that tells you that you don't have to do anything to create what you really want, I'm sorry to disappoint you. In this book, we're going to break some rules and make hamburgers out of some of self-help's most sacred cows. I'm fully aware that some of my methods may seem odd at first blush. That's the point. If you already had everything you wanted, you wouldn't need another book on how to get it, now would you? If ever there was a time in human history when we needed to apply a new level of thinking to create a world we can all live successfully and happily in, it's now. So let's get started. To your success. Noah St. John, founder, successclinic.com. Act 1. Foundations. Chapter 1. What's wrong with this picture? It's estimated that Americans spend 11 billion, that's a B, billion, a year on self-help products, everything from books to DVDs to diet pills, while American companies spend over 400 billion a year on professional development programs for their employees. Personally, I think those are very low estimates, especially when you consider all the weight loss programs, exercise equipment, business books, and everything else you could put in the category of self-help. Yes, I know there are a lot of other fancier terms for this: personal growth, self-improvement, professional development, etc. But for now, let's just agree to call it self-help, okay? Actually, I call most of this information shelf help because that's where most of it goes, on the shelf along with all the rest of the stuff you've bought over the years. So let's just say that we are only spending $411 billion a year on shelf help book products. Now think about this in even more concrete terms. How much money have you spent on shelf help book products in the last year, 2 years, 5 years? If you're like most of the people who come to my seminars and mentorship programs, that number is anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000 and up. I've had people come up to me in my seminars, some in tears, and tell me that what I shared with them in 30 minutes saved them over $1 million. So here's the number one reason most people struggle in life and business, and no, it's not what you've been told. Why, with all this time, money, and energy being spent on self-help, are so few people living the life they really want? Another way to ask this is, why are millions of people who spent so much time and money trying to improve themselves still going down the road of life with one foot on the brake? There actually is an answer to this seemingly unanswerable question. But like most vexing problems, to answer this question, we must first ask a deeper question. The deeper question we need to ask is, what causes human behavior? While there may be many ways to answer that question, here's what I found to be, at once, the simplest and most accurate answer to that question. It's a simple answer, because I found, and I'm sure you have too, that the simplest solutions tend to create the best and longest lasting results. What's wrong with this picture? Why twos benefits, why not twos costs? The scale of success. I've shown this picture to tens of thousands of people in my seminars, and I call it the scales of success. Picture a balance, like the scales of justice you've seen in one of those courtroom TV shows. It's an instrument for determining weight that has a fulcrum at the center, from each end of which is suspended a plate. On one plate, imagine that we have something called your why-2s. These are your internal motives or reasons why to do something. On the other plate, we have your why-not-2s, your internal reasons why not to do something. Let me give you an example from your own life. Why are you reading this book right now? The answer is very simple. You're reading this book because you perceive that there are more benefits of reading this book, another word for why-2s is benefit, than costs of doing so. Another word for why-not-2s is cost. Your perceived why-2s or benefits of reading this book might include, I want to learn what the world's most successful people do so I can do that in my own life, so I can stop sabotaging myself, so I can make more money, and finally get my foot off the brake. And this will make me happier because I can live the life I always wanted, and quit this job I hate, and take more vacations, and have better relationships, and lose weight, and find the love of my life, and buy a new car and a new house, and get out of debt. Did I mention I'll finally get my foot off the brake? What about your why not tos or costs? This might include, I have a million other things I could be doing right now. Who is this guy anyway, and why should I listen to him? What if I get to the end and still haven't learned how to get my foot off the brake? What if it works for everyone else but not for me? What's he trying to sell me? I've been burned before and I don't want it to happen again. Did I mention all the other things I could be doing right now? Your mind is like an infinite weighing machine. Every moment, your mind is weighing your perceived benefit against your perceived cost of doing any behavior or activity you can think of. Can you see that every decision we make is built upon our why-2s and why-not-2s? Consider the following. Where you live, what you wear, what you eat, and how often you eat it. What kind of car you drive, what you do for work, who you decide to marry or not marry, what you had for breakfast this morning. All of these were determined by your why-2s and your why-not-2s. In fact, every decision you've ever made in your life was based on your internal why-2s and why-not-2s. Your reasons why you thought you should do the thing versus the reasons not to do that thing. But what does this have to do with success? Okay, Noah, you're saying I can see that every decision I make is based on my why-2s and why-not-2s, but what does that have to do with success? Are you trying to tell me if I'm holding myself back from success, that means I don't want to succeed? I've had the privilege of working with countless thousands of people in my seminars and mentorship programs, business owners and teenagers, salespeople and accountants, employers and employees, people who work at big companies and stay-at-home moms, men, women, and children from all walks of life. And in all that time, I've never met one person who doesn't want to succeed. Human beings are motivated by success, getting, having, and keeping the things we want. Yet we've already seen that millions of people and organizations are holding themselves back from the level of success they're perfectly capable of, even though collectively we're spending billions of dollars to try to fix the problem. So what's going on here? There must be something hidden, something deeper, something not visible to the casual observer. The hidden reason you're stuck. Picture an iceberg. We've all heard that 90 to 95% of an iceberg is hidden beneath the surface of the water, while only 5 to 10% is visible above the surface. Scientists at Stanford, MIT, and other esteemed institutions have determined that the human mind operates in much the same way. Just like an iceberg, your mind is comprised of two parts. The part that's visible above the surface and the part that's hidden below the surface. Instead of the water line, let's call the line that separates the two parts in the mind the line of consciousness. And we'll call the visible 10% your conscious mind, and call the hidden 90% the subconscious mind. Another word for conscious is intentional because it represents choice. According to scientific research, your conscious mind makes up less than 10% of your total brain function. That means that the subconscious mind, or unintentional aspect of your mind, represents more than 90% of your total brain function. Your subconscious is a vast collection of unintentional, habitual thoughts, behaviors, and actions. Therefore, the phrase that best describes the subconscious mind is no choice. Look around the room you're in right now. What if I came into the room you're in and turned out all the lights? In fact, I removed all the visible light from the room. Now it's pitch dark and you can't see a thing. What would happen if I then asked you to rearrange the furniture? How successful would you be at rearranging the furniture in a room that's completely dark? Answer: not very. You'd bang your shins on the coffee table, fumble around, and be incapable of making even the simplest of changes. Because you can't rearrange furniture in a place where you can't see anything. Does that mean you're incapable of rearranging furniture? Of course not. You're perfectly capable of rearranging furniture when you can see what the heck you're doing. Your subconscious mind is like that completely dark room. We don't know what's in there because we simply can't see it. It's hidden beneath the surface like the bottom 90% of an iceberg. And when you can't see something, it's awfully hard to change it. Which brings us back to the original question. Why are millions of people who've spent so much time and money trying to improve themselves still stuck? Putting together our scales of success, an iceberg of consciousness, the answer becomes stunningly simple. Your why-tos of success are held in your conscious mind. Everyone wants to succeed on the conscious level. We all know to succeed is better than the alternative. Why do you think we're spending all this time, money, and energy trying to be more successful? So the benefits or why-tos of success are held in our conscious mind. But have you ever stopped to think about the cost of actually allowing yourself to succeed? I've asked this question to countless thousands of people in my seminars, and the response I get is dead silence, followed by the slightly anxious shuffling in the seats. I can practically hear people's minds worrying as they ask themselves the unexpected question, gee, I never thought of that before. What could be a cost of actually allowing myself to succeed? In other words, have you ever thought about the fact that if your why to's of success are held in the conscious mind, then your why not to's of success are held in your subconscious mind? When I asked my audience members to give me some examples of what could possibly be costs of success, typical answers include: isn't it going to take a lot of time to be really successful? I'm too busy. Look at my to-do list. I don't want the extra responsibility. What if my family doesn't approve? What if my spouse is jealous of me? What if someone laughs at me? What if my friends don't like me anymore? What if I succeed and can't sustain it? What if I have to spend too much time away from my family? What if I go for it and lose it all? What if people find out I'm a fraud? What if? What if? What if? And those are just the immediate responses. I put the last one in there to include all the ways we what if ourselves. Did you notice something about all these why not to's of success? They are all held in your subconscious mind, meaning no one wakes up in the morning, looks out the window and says, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, and I feel great. I think I'll hold myself back from success today. Nor does anyone say, I think I'll buy this book or go to this seminar or start this new coaching program to learn how to sabotage myself better. Every human being wants to succeed on the conscious level, but because your why not to's of success are hidden in your subconscious mind, it's like you're driving down the road of life with one foot on the brake. Why your foot is on the brake? Let's say you've been working really hard, trying to succeed. Maybe you started a new coaching program or went to a seminar that really pumped you up or read a new book that really made sense to you. You began to make positive changes in your life. You followed the instructions, and guess what? It starts to work. After all your hard work, focus, and money that you spent, you actually start to get what you're going after. You're moving toward the thing you want. You're making progress, making more money. You're becoming more and more successful. Then what happens? That's when the fear sets in. As crazy as it sounds, you actually start to feel the feeling known as fear when you start to get what you've been working so hard for. But why would someone feel fear when they start to get what they want? This happened because, unbeknownst to you, your scales of success started to tip. Your subconscious why not to's of success, the ones you can't see because they're hidden, remember, started silently screaming at you. Hey, what do you think you're doing? You can't handle this. What if you can't keep this going? Why don't you just stop now and avoid the embarrassment later? So what do? What anyone would do in that situation. You do whatever it takes to stop feeling the fear. That's because fear is one of those emotions we humans will do just about anything to avoid. So rather than examining why you might be feeling that feeling, you stop doing what was working. You slam on the brakes. You sabotage yourself because doing that feels easier than feeling the fear. And then you get to beat yourself up because you can tell yourself you were right. See, I told you. I knew you couldn't handle it. Why even bother? Sound familiar? If you are nodding your head right now, this book was written especially for you. But what went unexamined in all of this is a simple fact. A feeling is a result, not a cause. Feelings don't cause themselves. When you experience a feeling or emotion, there is something going on inside of you that caused that feeling. And what causes the so-called fear of success or foot on the brake syndrome? Your hidden subconscious why not to's of success. Here then is the bottom line. You are not holding yourself back from success because you don't know how to succeed. You are holding yourself back from the success you are perfectly capable of because you have more subconscious why not tos of success than conscious why tos of success. Remember all those traditional success programs we're spending billions of dollars on? In traditional success programs, they teach you how to succeed. And that's a good thing, right? I mean, if you want to do something, it's good to know how to do it. And since we all want to succeed, all we need is to be told how to succeed. Then we'll all be successful, right? Why don't you turn the page to see how that assumption is working out for you? Chapter 2. The little assumption that's costing you a fortune. Let's say you wanted to put a nail to a wall. Do you think you could do it? Sure you could, if you had the right tool. Now let's say, because I really like you, I really believe in you, and I really want you to succeed because of all these reasons. I went out and, with great expense and careful thought by the way, got you a very expensive, brand new, shiny red chainsaw. Go ahead and put that nail in the wall. Okay, you're thinking to yourself, he's successful, so I guess he must know what he's doing. You start hacking away with your shiny new chainsaw. How's it going, I ask. Not so good, you reply, trying to hide the big gashes you just made in the wall. What's the matter, I ask you. You mumble something about how you're having a tough time and struggling, so I exhort you and tell you what you should be doing to get the nail in the wall. After all, I was able to do it, so I give you lots of helpful advice like, set your goals, visualize it, believe in yourself, work smarter, not harder. You can do it. How's it going now? Pretty much the same result. Notice that I am being nice. I'm believing in you. I'm telling you things that should work. Now what if I can see that even after all my wonderful advice, you're still not getting the nail in the wall? Okay, tell you what, I say. You can have any chainsaw you want. I point you to a whole rack of chainsaws. Green ones, blue ones, big ones, small ones. Pick any chainsaw you want. So you reluctantly try the green one because, well, maybe that will do the trick. Then the big one, then the small one. What happens? Same result. But how are you feeling right now? Are you motivated, excited, pumped up, and psyched to put the nail in the wall? Not exactly. You're probably saying to yourself, I'm never going to get this stupid nail in the wall. And even if you do somehow manage to get one nail in, how much time, effort, and energy did it take? Aren't you feeling depressed, frustrated, angry, resentful, annoyed, irritated, exasperated, and stressed out? You probably want to do as little of this putting the nail in the wall activity as you can. Don't your outward actions look something like this? You complain to others about how tough it is to put nails in walls. You badmouth me, your nail-putting in manager behind my back. You make any excuse to not put nails in walls. You take it out on your kids or your spouse when you get home. Your mental and emotional health is suffering. You look for ways to medicate or veg out like watching TV or surfing the internet just to relieve the stress of putting nails in walls. You're always looking for someplace else, someplace better to work, because work is so unfulfilling. The real problem is not that you can't do the job. The real problem is that you are beating yourself up for not being able to do the job when you have been given a tool that is completely wrong for the job you're trying to do. The only solutions you have been offered are simply the same tools with different packaging. So even though it would appear that putting a nail to a wall is an easy job, if you have never been given the right tool, it will continue to be very difficult. Now, is there anything wrong with a chainsaw? Of course not. Chainsaws are very useful tools when you want to cut down a tree, but when you want to put a nail in a wall, they're not very useful at all. How many times have you seen the equivalent of what I've just shown you in your life, career, or company? When I asked you that question in my seminars, nearly When I ask that question in my seminars, nearly every hand goes up. We've all seen examples of people who had all the talent, intelligence, and motivation in the world who were asked to put nails in walls and given a chainsaw. Here's a smidgen of the figures. So-called bad hires cost American companies over $100 billion each year. I wonder how many chainsaws they're giving to people and then asking them to put nails in walls. Stress costs American companies over $300 billion each year. I wonder how much stress would be lowered if they stopped giving chainsaws to people and started giving them hammers. Americans spend over $11 billion on self-help products like books, seminars, DVDs, and coaching programs. Here's a whole rack of shiny new chainsaws you can choose from. The problem is not bad hires, stress, or overconsumption. The problem is that we've been searching for the hammer to put that nail in the wall, but all we've been given are chainsaws. The assumption. We all know people who've spent lots of time, money, and energy on traditional success programs who are still holding themselves back from the success they're capable of. Maybe you know someone like that intimately. But how and why could this happen? In traditional success programs, we have been taught how to succeed, what I call the how-tos of success. This happened because traditional success teachers assumed that all we need is to be shown how to succeed, and then of course we'd succeed. They taught us the how-tos of success because a single assumption, an assumption that turned out to be false, they made this assumption without even thinking about it because it was too illogical to think otherwise. This single assumption, however, is costing you a fortune right now. Traditional success programs taught us the how-tos of success because traditional teachers assumed that you and I had more why-tos of success than why-not-tos of success. They actually had it half right. Everyone does have more why-tos of success, but only on the conscious level. That's why we are spending billions of dollars on all these success programs. Remember our iceberg? Just because you can't see your why-not-tos of success doesn't mean they're not there. They're there all right, hidden in the subconscious, where they keep you held back from the very thing you want most. But that's not even the most amazing part. This is. Here is the most amazing part about all this, and it represents the key to your freedom, success, and fulfillment. You can never solve a why-to problem with a how-to solution. Read that sentence again. You can never solve a why-to problem with a how-to solution. Because if you are holding yourself back from success, you don't have a how-to problem. You have a why-to, why-not-to problem. You can never solve a why-to problem with a how-to solution. That single sentence explains why Americans spend billions of dollars a year on self-help programs, yet most remain stuck. You have spent thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars on self-help programs and still have your foot on the brake. The world's most successful people, the ones teaching all those how to succeed programs, can never tell you how to get your foot off the brake because they are unconscious at allowing themselves to succeed. And it also explains why the people you'll meet in the pages that follow, the people who've taken the steps revealed in this book, have doubled, tripled, even quadrupled their income in less than a year, lost 20 pounds in 60 days without stress or dieting, converted their annual income into their monthly income, even their weekly income, overcome the darkest moments of despair and helplessness to achieve greatness and find fulfillment. These are just some of the remarkable results my students have seen in their lives, careers, and relationships. And you can do it too, provided you follow the secret code of success. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to show you. The 4 steps of traditional success programs. I'm about to save you a ton of money, years of your life, and lots of frustration. How? By giving you the 4 steps of every traditional How to Succeed program. Here they are. 1. Set your goals. Know what you want. 2. Do something. Take action toward your goals. 3. Evaluate. Am I getting closer to my goals or not? 4. Try again. Adjust your approach until you reach your goals. If you've experienced a self-help book, speech, or seminar, you've probably heard those same 4 steps over and over, packaged in different ways. And it sounds great, doesn't it? You knew this already, didn't you? So you have everything you want, right? Sounds of crickets chirping. What was that? You don't have everything you want? Well, what's wrong with you? Oh, you must not be motivated enough, or you just don't work hard enough, or you're not intelligent enough, or maybe you're just incapable of succeeding. Wait a minute, are you kidding me? Delete those sentences. After all, we can't be all that stupid. We can't all be that stupid. The 4 steps of the real world. Just like traditional success programs have given us the same 4 steps, there are also 4 steps in the real world. That would be like planet Earth. Here are the 4 basic steps I have observed about the real world. See if you found these to be true too. 1. The fog. We don't know what we really want. 2. Treadmilling. We're really, really busy but getting nowhere. 3. Feel like a failure. We compare ourselves to everyone else and come up short. 4. Try again. We keep trying and hoping things will be different. In the first step, we don't really know what we want, or we don't know what we really want, or we don't believe we can have what we really want, or we fear what will so-and-so say if I actually get what I really want, or we think, I don't think I'll ever get what I really want, or what if I get what I really want and then I'm still not happy, or get it? We have a fog. In the second step, we are treadmilling. Ever been on a treadmill? You're working really, really hard and getting nowhere. Look at my to-do list. I'm busy, 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 but this view sure looks the same. And sometimes that treadmill is going uphill. Phew! I'm working, 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 busy, 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 but things still haven't changed. Treadmilling. Are you with me here? Now we get to the critical third step. Feel like a failure. Now watch this. There is an amazing parallel between what they've been teaching us in traditional success programs and what we find in the real world. In traditional success programs, they said to set your goals. Well, we don't really know what we want, so we've got a fog. Then they told us to do something. Well, we're really, really busy, aren't we? So we're treadmilling. Then they told us to evaluate our progress. Well, what's our subconscious evaluation of our own progress? You got it. We feel like a failure. We feel like everyone is doing better than we are. We wonder why we spent all this time, money, and energy on all these self-help programs and we're still stuck. We look at all these exercise equipment, money-making schemes, diet pills, relationship advice, all the self-help products and programs we've invested in. Then look at where we are in life and how we feel stuck. And inside we feel like a failure. Boy, did I spend years of my life in this step. I don't want you to spend one more minute there. And yet, even with all that, all the years of frustration and tens of thousands of dollars we've spent with not much to show for it, even with all that, we still do step 4 and try again. You see, you are motivated. You do want to succeed. You have kept trying, even though you may have failed in the past. You really deserve a medal for continuing to press on, even in the face of not getting the results you wanted, even though you've never been given the right tool to do the job. Now, are you ready for the biggest shock of all? Here it is. If you want to reach your full potential, you don't need any more how to succeed information. I know that sounds crazy, even blasphemous to those people who spent tons of money on every how to succeed program out there. But that's the very point. You spent all that time, money, and energy, and you're still not where you want to be, and your foot's still on the brake. That's why I'm not going to teach you how to succeed. Not because I don't want to, but because I don't have to. You've been told all you need to know about how to succeed. Now it's time that you allow yourself to succeed to your full potential. It's time to get your foot off the brake in your life, career, and relationships for good. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. A quick recap. 1. There is a secret to becoming highly successful. The secret is there is a massive fundamental difference between how to succeed and how to let yourself succeed. The problem is the people who are unconscious at letting themselves succeed can't tell you what it is for the precise reason that they are doing it unconsciously. 2. What really causes human behavior is your internal why to's and why not to's. The reasons you perceive why you do something or not do it. 3. Therefore, the reason you're holding yourself back from success has nothing to do with your how-tos of success. It has to do with uncovering your subconscious why not to's of allowing yourself to be truly successful. 4. Holding yourself back from success is a why to, why not to problem. You can never solve a why to problem with a how to solution. 5. Traditional success programs have taught us the how-tos of success. While there's nothing wrong with this, trying to get your foot off the brake using traditional how-to methods is like trying to put a nail into a wall using a chainsaw. 6. This simple fact explains why millions of people and organizations are spending billions of dollars every year on every how to succeed program out there, yet most people still feel stuck. If you want to get your foot off the brake, 7. If you want to get your foot off the brake for good, stop spending your hard-earned money on more how-tos of success. Instead, focus on your internal why-tos and why not to's of success, and take the appropriate steps to restore the proper balance. Why? Because using the right tool, the steps provided in this book, will produce greater results faster, easier, and with less effort than you're spending now. Chapter 3. The Code Revealed. Have you ever noticed that sometimes a single idea can change the entire course of your life? On the night of October 20th, 1997, I accidentally made a discovery that did that to me. Since then, tens of thousands of people around the world have used what I discovered that night to change their lives too. On that fateful fall night, I was attending a seminar in eating disorders. Remember how I told you I worked on a series of jobs after my first time in college? One of those jobs was as a professional ballet dancer. After performing with several professional ballet companies across the country, I decided to go back to college to finish my degree in religious studies. On the morning of my discovery, I saw a sign in a local bookstore for a seminar on eating disorders to be held that night. Even though I never had suffered from an eating disorder, many of my friends and colleagues had. So I decided to attend the seminar to learn why people would do this to themselves. At the seminar, the speaker described why so many smart, creative, talented, sensitive people, mostly young women, developed eating disorders and would starve themselves. She said that it was not a matter of nutrition or of needing to teach them which foods to eat. Having worked with thousands of people at her clinic, the speaker concluded that the person suffering from an eating disorder was holding a desire to not be here on earth. In essence, she wanted to disappear, to punish herself because of a deeply negative self-image. As the speaker continued to describe people who starved themselves, I noticed something I never expected. She was describing me to a T. She said that people who starve themselves are smart, creative, talented, and motivated. Check, 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 and check. She said they're usually straight A students and overachievers in school. Check. She said they're highly sensitive to the needs of others and put other people's needs and feelings ahead of their own. Check and check. Then she said that these individuals settle for crumbs while others around them are eating fully. While I knew this was not true in relation to food, I love food and enjoy eating. I thought to myself, what if we extrapolate and see what I am settling for, the crumbs of life, while I constantly help others get ahead, even at my own expense? Wait a minute, I thought to myself. I've been settling for crumbs my whole life. It was at that moment that lightning struck, and my life made sense for the very first time. The starvation of success. When we talk about starvation or eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia, we're normally referring to behavior relating to food. For example, when someone is said to have the condition called anorexia, we are typically describing a behavior pattern marked by an aversion to or pushing away of food. When someone has bulimia, it typically means behavior characterized by the binging and purging of food, gorging on food, and then inducing vomiting. Up until that moment, no one had ever thought that starvation behaviors could be related to anything but food. I suppose the assumption was that other than food, what could human beings consume and therefore starve ourselves of? But at the moment, I became aware that I was settling for the crumbs of life. I realized that there was something else we humans could starve themselves of, and this previously unrecognized method of starvation was affecting tens of millions of people. What no one had considered before was that as human beings could starve ourselves of success. Think about this for a moment. Women, since the beginning of human history, have been taught that their worth comes from their physical bodies. While it is totally politically incorrect to say this, the fact remains that women, for most of the history of civilization, were treated like possessions to be sold and acquired for the purposes of marriage and procreation. Make no mistake about it, a woman's worth does not come from her body. However, since the beginning of time, female human beings have been told or taught implicitly and explicitly that their worth stems from their physical bodies. So let's say you have a human being who has been told since the beginning of time that her worth comes from her physical body, even though it isn't true, it's what she's been taught. Let's further say that this person develops really low self-esteem and a very low sense of self-worth. So now you have a person who's been told that her worth comes from her physical body, and you add to that a very low sense of self-worth. Doesn't it make sense that that person will punish that part of herself that she was told her worth comes from, namely her physical body? And if you're going to unconsciously punish your physical body, doesn't it make sense that you're going to starve yourself of food? I have just shown you in 5 sentences what causes a person to develop an eating disorder. Now I realize that no woman reading this book was told in a literal sense your worth comes from your physical body. But if you happen to live on the planet Earth and are a female, it's nearly impossible for this belief to not have affected you, simply because it's been around for so many centuries. Which leads us to the other sex. That would be men. Where have men been taught their worth comes from? Men, since the beginning of human history, have been taught or told that their worth comes from their possessions, titles, job, net worth, holdings, size of bank account, what I call their material bodies, as opposed to their physical bodies. While it is also completely politically incorrect to say this, the fact remains that men have been judged almost solely on what they possess or are capable of earning, bringing home the bacon. Of course, this is not where a man's worth comes from. It is just what men have been told or taught their worth comes from. So what if you have been so what if you have a human being who has been told since the beginning of time that his worth comes from not his physical body, but his material body, even though this isn't true, it's what he's been taught. Let's further assume that this person develops a really negative self-image. Now you have a person who's been told that his worth comes from his material body, and you add to that a very low sense of self-worth. Doesn't it make sense that he will punish that part of himself that he was told his worth comes from, namely his material body? And if you're going to unconsciously punish your material body, doesn't it make sense that you're going to starve yourself of success? The condition with no name. I have just shown you what causes something you've probably never thought about because it never had a name before, because no one ever realized its existence before, and it's called success disorder. What is a success disorder? It's what happens when a person develops a deeply negative self-belief, what I call your head trash, and unconsciously develops a pattern of behavior marked by an aversion to or pushing away of success. I know this sounds crazy, except to the tens of millions of us who have been doing it our whole lives without knowing it. At 8:20 p.m. on October 20th, 1997, I became the first person to realize the existence of a condition that I named success anorexia. Because of this, I also realized that starvation could be related to something other than food, and that tens of millions of people around the world were unknowingly starving ourselves of success, but had no idea that's what we were doing, let alone how to fix the problem. That's when I knew I had to get this information out to the millions of people just like me, people who were unknowingly pushing away the success we were perfectly capable of achieving. And that's the moment the secret code of success was born. Bonus pressures for women. Did you notice that something about the examples in the previous section? I showed you why people who starve themselves of food tend to be females, while people who starve themselves of success tend to be males. But what if you're a woman who's starving yourself of success? How could that happen? The answer is simple. Over the last 50 years, women have entered the workplace in unprecedented numbers. In fact, women now outnumber men in the workforce, and research shows that women are starting new businesses at a higher rate than men. Guess what this means for today's modern woman? In addition to being told that their worth comes from their physical bodies, they're now being told that their worth comes from their material bodies. This means that women now face the dual pressures of having to look perfect, physical body pressure, the traditional female measuring stick, while also having to have the perfect career and bring home the bacon, material body pressure, the traditional male measuring stick. Keep in mind that none of these pressures are spoken of in polite company. They are lurking beneath the surface, never addressed in the open, but always there, affecting millions of women and men all over the world, although very few are consciously aware of it. The bottom line is that today's modern woman can be starving herself of food and success. Many of my female students have come to me for help because they were holding themselves back from success, and then told me that they were anorexic or bulimic at one time in their lives. Even though you may never have suffered from an eating disorder, if you are a woman, you too are probably facing these unspoken pressures of modern life. The two truths. Alex Mandossian, founder of Heritage House Publishing and one of my first mentors, has often said there were two truths in life. 1. Everyone has potential. 2. No one has reached it yet. But why is that? After working with countless thousands of people in my seminars and mentorship programs, I've come to realize that while we human beings fear not being who we really are, what we tend to fear even more is being who we really are. My friend Neil Donald Walsh, author of the Conversations with God series, put it eloquently when he said, "Since the beginning of time, all we have wanted is to love and be loved. And since the beginning of time, all we have stopped from happening is to love and be loved." That's why the purpose of this book is to give you permission to be who you really are, permission to succeed. How can you gain that permission if you don't already have it? Simple. All you have to do is follow the secret code that the world's rich, happy people are unconsciously following, that they don't even know they're following, and that they can't tell you about. Not because they don't want to, but because success has become as unconscious for them as breathing or driving a car for the rest of us. That's when you'll finally discover how amazing it is to live your life without your foot on the brake. Meet the 3 percenters. I want to introduce you to a very special group of people. Actually, you've seen these people on TV or in the movies, and you've certainly seen them on stage, winning award after award at your company's annual convention. These are the world's most successful people. They have most of the wealth, happiness, joy, peace, health, and loving relationships. In other words, they have most of what we human beings want as we go through this journey called life. Please note, in this book, I am talking about fulfilled, wealthy people, what I call being happy and rich. There are lots of people with lots of money who are unhappy, and people who are broke but happy, although not many of those. But I've observed that while most people believe you can either be happy or rich, there's a small percentage of people who realize you can be both. I'll call these people the 3 percenters. Why? Well, you've heard of the 80-20 rule, also known as Pareto's principle, that 80% of your results flow from 20% of your efforts. But in today's society, we seem to have what I call the 97-3 rule, that about 3% of the population holds most of the world's great wealth, while most of the remaining 97% struggle just to get by. While these may not be precise, hard, and fast numbers, look around and you can verify them for yourself. Look around your company and you'll see that the same 1, 2, or 5 salespeople always win the top awards, while the rest never do. Look around your personal relationships and notice that a tiny minority of couples ever stays happily married. The rest just stay married. Look around the mall and notice how many people are in shape and healthy, and how many are not. Look around the world and see that only a small percentage of the world's population are haves and the rest are have-nots, or at least have not much. Well, you may say, it's just not fair. Money, wealth, health, happiness, these should be given equally to all people. You're right, they should, and indeed they are. It's just that few people ever choose to take them and make correct use of them. These lucky few are the 3 percenters. But here's their big secret. You can be a 3 percenter too, but only if you learn and follow their secret code. Just one thing. Aha! I can hear you saying, I knew there was a catch. Yep, there's a catch, all right. If you believe that most of the wealth, health, happiness, joy, love, opportunity, in short, all the things we humans want is held by 3% of the world's population, you need to realize that it's not actually held anywhere. No one can keep love, money, or opportunity away from you any more than someone can stop you from reaching your full potential. But here's the amazing, counterintuitive thing about the 3 percenters. They can't really tell you how they got there. Have you ever heard a speech, read a book, or gone to a seminar given by a 3 percenter? Yes, you have. You just didn't realize it. Remember the last seminar you went to on your self-improvement. The last book on how to increase your sales or grow your business. That speech given by the mega rich investor. That seminar, book or speech was almost certainly given by someone who was unconsciously competent at allowing themselves to succeed. In other words, a 3%er. What do I mean by unconsciously competent at allowing yourself to succeed? When you are trying to do something new, walk, tie your shoes, drive a car, make $1 million, make $100 million, the 4 levels of competency you go through are: 1. Unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know. 2. Conscious incompetence. You know that you don't know. 3. Conscious competence. You know that you know. 4. Unconscious competence. You do it without conscious thought. Think about driving a car. Remember the very first time you were in a car when you were a little kid? I sure don't. I don't remember thinking, gee, when I'm big and tall, I can reach the pedals with my little feet. I wonder what it's going to feel like to drive this. What do they call it again? The point is, you were driven around, unless your parents let you drive when you were an infant, in which case we really need to talk. And the thought of driving a car never entered your mind. Why would it? You were a kid, for crying out loud. Then when you got to the age of, let's say, 12, you started to think, hey, these goofy adults have these weird things called cars, and they let you go where you want when you want to. And all I have is a bike, and they won't let me ride my bike on the highway, so I can't get very far. I think I want a car. And your next thought was, how the heck am I going to do that? Then you had to wait another 3 or 4 years before they let you take driver's ed. And then you thought, this is more like it. Now I can go where I want, when I want, and no one can tell me what to do. Well, you weren't exactly right about the particular thought, but still, you were on your way. And today, you're in your car, truck, minivan, hybrid, talking on the phone, sipping coffee, putting on your makeup, looking at the drivers around you, finding a good radio station, thinking about your next meeting, getting one kid to stop torturing the other, or so help me, I'll pull this car over, and oh yeah, driving. After all these years and years of waiting and waiting and waiting, you have become unconscious at driving a car. When you're driving your car today, do you ever think about all those years and years of waiting and waiting and waiting? Of course not. Until I just brought it up. When was the last time you thought about all those long, long years of waiting until you could drive a car? Like never, exactly. Learning from unconscious people. Let's go back to our 3%ers. The people who have what the rest of the world wants. Many of these 3%ers realized that they could help people and make a lot of money by teaching other people the so-called secrets of success. In other words, how I got here. I'm sure most of them do this because they really want to help people, and they do mean well. There's only one problem. When you are unconsciously competent at something, you often don't know how you are really doing that thing. For example, when I worked as a professional ballet dancer, I was good, but never the lead dancer. I sweated, worked my butt off, and tried harder than anyone else, but just wasn't as proficient as the lead guys. Sometimes, when I was having trouble with a particular step, I would notice who was doing it naturally and ask them to show me how to do it, and they would say something like, just do it, turn your head, just spin, or something totally not helpful at all. One day I realized I wasn't getting anywhere and asked one of the older members of the company to help me. He wasn't tallest or strongest, but he was the best teacher because he patiently showed me how to do the steps by breaking them down until I had mastered them. He was definitely not a natural, and neither was I, but while the naturals were no help at all, this man helped me more than any of them because he showed me step by step what I needed to do. It is the same way with the phenomenon called success. Almost all of the books, speeches, and seminars you see on how to succeed are being given by 3%ers, the naturals at success. I'm not suggesting that naturals don't work hard or haven't made sacrifices to get where they are. Naturals have to work hard, just like the rest of us. But my point is this: the true causes of success are often hidden and counterintuitive, even especially to those who are naturals at success. There is something the naturals, the 3%ers, are doing that they don't know they're doing, and no matter how many times they tell you their secrets of success, they can't tell you something they're not consciously aware of. It's like saying to fish, "So, tell me about the water." That's why it took a highly educated underachiever like me and an unexpected twist of fate to realize that the 3%ers were living by a code they were consciously aware of, if only the rest of us could follow it. Being and doing. The secret code of success is a way of life that involves being and doing. It's a code of living, not like a code you use to open a safe. The way of being is first to discover who you really are, and the way of doing is to act in accord with who you really are. Together, this being and doing will allow you to succeed to your fullest potential. How do we do that? By following the 7 steps of the secret code of success. You may be wondering why the secret code of success is a secret in the first place. Why doesn't everyone know about this code? I believe it's been a secret for this long for 2 main reasons. 1, because the 3%ers themselves don't know it exists, since they're unconscious of the fact that they're following it in the first place. 2, because the code cannot be found in the conscious world of everyday demands and pressures, but lies within and requires a new way of looking at the phenomenon called success. The secret code of success reveals what the 3%ers do unconsciously that they could never tell you, because they are unconsciously competent at allowing themselves to succeed. Why should I follow the code anyway? You may be asking yourself that question right now. In fact, it's impossible for your brain to not be asking that question. Remember our scales of success? So let's put our cards on the table right now. In working with tens of thousands of people in my seminars and private mentorship programs, here are the 7 main benefits, Y2s, that I have observed my students experience once they begin to start living the code. 1. You will get rid of the head trash that's holding you back from success. 2. You will allow yourself to make more money. 3. Your sales, recruiting efforts will improve. 4. You will enjoy improved relationships with yourself and others. 5. Your self-confidence will increase naturally. 6. You will experience enhanced feelings of happiness, connection, joy, enthusiasm, and love. 7. You will begin to know and live your purpose on earth. No more head trash. When you follow the code, the big benefit you will experience and the big promise of this book is that you will eliminate the causes of self-sabotage, the fear of success, and the foot on the brake syndrome. I want you to understand something absolutely key here. Self-destructive behaviors that hold you back from success are precisely that, behaviors. A behavior is something you do that is caused by something else. You do not do anything without a reason. The true cause of all human behavior is your why to's and your why not to's. This leads us to one of the fundamental truths in my approach, which itself represents a major shift in the field of self-improvement. You cannot change your behavior at the level of behavior. Let me give you an example. If you're old enough to read this book, you probably take a shower or bath every day before going to work, to school, or starting your day. Why? Because you wouldn't like the way you felt if you didn't. Now, you could if you wanted to, not bathe before going to work. Why don't you do that? It's probably never even occurred to you to even ask the question. Why wouldn't you? Exactly. The reason you bathe to start your day is because it's an unconscious habit. In fact, until this moment, it's probably never occurred to you to not do it because you've been doing it for so long. Now, could you go to work without bathing? Sure you could. So why don't you? Because you wouldn't like the results, both from yourself and the not very approving looks from your coworkers. So you have all the why to's of bathing and all the why not to's of bathing. Those two forces together produce the very powerful and unconscious why to's of bathe before work. But we've just determined that if you wanted to, you could go to work without bathing. By the way, I don't recommend this, and your coworkers probably wouldn't appreciate it either. In other words, you have the how-tos of not bathing before work. However, because your why-tos outweigh your why-not-tos, you are firmly in the camp of bathe before work. That's why you can know how to do something and never let yourself do it. And that's why why-tos will always, always, always trump how-tos. Moving beyond behavior. We've already seen that holding yourself back from success is a why-to, why-not problem. Why-not-to problem. And that you can never solve a why-to problem with a how-to solution. We've also seen that since traditional success programs are focused on the how-tos of success, using those programs to get your foot off the brake is like trying to put a nail into a wall using a chainsaw. Before the secret code of success, all attempts to fix the age-old question of how to get your foot off the brake have been at the level of behavior. The 3%ers told us to think positive, set your goals, and just do it. The how-tos of success. While these extortions are not wrong any more than a chainsaw is wrong, the problem is that these are all behaviors. And as we've just seen with the bathe before work example, you cannot solve a behavior problem at the level of behavior. You must go beneath your behavior to the hidden why-tos and your why-not-tos of your behavior. That's what the secret code of success is all about. That is the question the 3%ers have unconsciously answered for themselves, which is exactly why they allow themselves to succeed and don't have their foot on the brake. And that's the secret that the rest of us can now share in, as long as we follow the code. What's truly amazing about the code is that you cannot hold yourself back from success if you simply do the 7 code steps. Now, if you don't do the 7 code steps, I can't make any promises. Actually, I can make one promise. You'll still have your foot on the brake. The system I teach is not magic. You can't just read this book, put it down, and say, okay, I'm fixed. Any more than you can read a book about cleaning your office and expect it to happen by itself. Would be nice though, wouldn't it? You must take action. The point is, if you simply do the 7 steps of the code, it is actually not possible to hold yourself back from success. Follow the code, and you will eliminate self-sabotage for good. I'm not saying this to make you feel good. What I'm telling you is based on my experience with tens of thousands of grateful students in my seminars and mentorship programs. Now that you know what you're going to get as a result of following the code, and that you must take action to get those benefits, it's time to reveal the 7 steps of the secret code of success. The permission pyramid. 7. Find your because. 6. Find your no. 5. Who are you trying to protect? 4. goal-free zones and goal replacement surgery. 3. Systems of support. 2. Loving mirrors and safe havens. 1. Affirmations. These 7 steps are simple to understand, but require effort to execute. Beginning with step 1, you will begin to move up the permission pyramid, reprogramming your subconscious mind so that your why not tos are no longer holding you back from more wealth and happiness. Step 1 is affirmations. No, that's not a misprint. Affirmations are empowering questions, not affirmations, that immediately change your subconscious thought patterns from negative to positive. Using affirmations instead of affirmations, you'll be able to manifest the things you want twice as fast with half the effort. In step 2, loving mirrors and safe havens, you'll learn how to gain unconditional support for your life, career, and relationships. This is the primary unconscious step that 3%ers use, and without it, you can never reach your full potential. Step 3 is systems of support. Just like your house or your body, your life and your business have essential systems that must function properly to create maximum success with minimum effort. The 3%ers are using these 5 essential systems of support without even knowing it. Follow this step and you can too. Step 4 deals with the sticky question of where goals fit into your life. In goal-free zones, you'll learn the necessity of unplugging to re-energize and revitalize yourself daily. In goal replacement surgery, you'll discover if your stated goals are really yours or if they're someone else's that you've internalized. Step 5. Step 5 is a question you've probably never asked before. Who am I trying to protect, punish, or please? Many people have, upon taking this step, realized that they have been unconsciously holding themselves back to protect or punish someone else. Once freed from those hidden blocks, they've seen incredible increases in both income and peace of mind very quickly. Step 6 is to find your no. Many people have lost their no. That is, lost their ability to say no to others. When you lose your no, you become a doormat to the agendas of others, which means your dreams and aspirations are put aside. I'll show you some simple but powerful ways to find your no so that your dreams become just as important as anyone else's. Finally, step 7, find your because, deals with your mission, your purpose on earth, your ultimate why to. Most people don't know why they're here on earth, and this not knowing leads to feelings from frustration, anger, and boredom to depression and the deepest depths of despair. When you find your because and complete all 7 steps, you will become a 3%er, because you will be one of the tiny percentage of human beings who not only knows their purpose, but has the tools to make the world a better place for themselves and everyone else. Are you ready to get your foot off of the brake and fly?